Hi guys, welcome back to my DJI channel. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Keep it going, because I've also got competition, and I'm gonna start get some new bits now in, so I can do some more competition in between it all. Because obviously the helicopter is a long-term commitment, getting it all done and built up. So I can get some more little mini competitions in between you guys. So as long as you're subscribing, check out my Facebook, check out my Twitter, check out all my other sites that are linked up on my YouTube, up in the top banner. Also on this now Sky Pixel, so link up on Sky Pixel with me. YouTube, as I said, Facebook, Twitter, and my website, DJI Phantom.uk. So all my bits are on there. So anything I'm doing throughout the weeks, I will have on my own website that feed through to my Facebook, then go to Twitter. So make sure you're all connected up and you get all my information. Got some questions back, especially a guy called Woody. Sorry I hadn't emailed you earlier because I was out and about, so I wasn't actually at home. So I wanted to do this VT instead of like trying to write a long emails. I haven't really done too much on my thoughts on the Phantom. I've been flying Phantom from quite some time now, quite a few months, and I'm getting quite, well, I love it basically. It's always wanted to fly an actual helicopter. This is the closest thing to get into it. I will actually look at buying some goggles so I get my eyes in the air, because that's going to be the closest you're ever going to get to the real thing basically. At least I'm still on the ground when I'm flying these, so I still feel safe than actually being a proper helicopter. And it's cheaper. Always been into my hobbies, RCs to helicopters, which didn't fly very well. And then as soon as I started noticing the fact, because I did a search one day on Google, come across the DJI product, and you think, oh, GPS, that'd be quite good to learn. And I heard a lot of people saying they're quite easy to fly, which they are very easy to fly, and that's what got me into the DJI Phantom. And I didn't buy the first one because Phantoms, they had their 40s, they had the Phantom, Phantom 2 and Phantom 2 Visions, and the Phantom 2 Vision Plus. So I could have gone for a very low end Phantom, which was the basic one, looks a bit like this, no gimbal, and start at that, but I didn't. I decided to save £1,000 and bought myself a DJI Phantom Vision, because obviously I'm into photography as well. It's a sort of part-time hobby and stuff, and I do enjoy it, and I thought this would be great in the air. Eyes in the air, get some nice snapshots and stuff. So let's touch base on here. So if you're going to buy a Phantom, a lot of people say get a small quad, learn to fly that first, and then go on to the DJI Phantom products or the next big thing from there. My idea is a small quad that you buy for 30, 40 quid or 60 quid flies completely different to an actual Phantom, because obviously with those little quads you have to manually keep it in the air with the speed, and they are all over the place. They're quick little things, so they do handle and fly a lot different than Phantoms do. So I would put that to one side, and I would just go and buy a Phantom. So if you've got money to spend, I will start out on the Phantom 2 without the camera on it, get used to flying the Phantom 2 first, and then progress from there to the Phantom Vision Plus, because the Phantom Vision Plus has got one of the best cameras. Don't worry about the Phantom 2 Vision, which has got a different type camera. I will go for the Vision Plus. It has everything on board. You can get the Phantom 2, which is literally just looks similar to this, and it comes with a ZU gimbal. Then you put your own GoPro on it. The only problem is with that, you've got to add some FPV hardware to it to get the video from there down to an app on your phone, so you can see what the camera's doing. So I've got a colleague that has one of these Phantom 2 with a ZU gimbal. He's flying blinds up there, so when he's angling the camera, even the controller has a thing at the bottom there, so he can angle his camera. He can't see where he's angling it, so he's flying blind all the time. So when he gets that video down, takes out the SD card from his GoPro, puts it into his PC, he has to take pot luck whether he got a good footage or not good footage. And I can't work like that. I like to see what I'm seeing, because there's something particularly you're flying around or doing. You want to see it on your app to make sure you're flying in the right position. You don't want to keep revisiting it all the time. So that's why I went for the Phantom 2 Vision Plus, because it had everything on it. Same quality as more as the GoPro 3. You can see your app, you can see the footage live on your app. So that means I can take my time up in the air, flying and getting the right shots. And especially if you're taking snapshots, it's great to see the app, because you can see through the app and think, oh, that's a great picture. And you can then quickly flick it over to photograph, take the shot you want. So when you come back down, every shot you've taken is what you've seen, and you've done it. So there's no revisiting, no go back up again and starting again. So that's the difference between a Phantom 2 and a Phantom 2 Vision Plus. So I would do that. I wouldn't go for the Phantom 2 Vision because the camera is a lot different to the actual Plus camera. The quality, and obviously it doesn't have any gimbal system on it. So when it does this in the wind, or if you're moving backs and forwards like this, flying it, it doesn't move. So you're going to get that in your picture. Where with this one, when you do things like this, it stabilizes and it's always going to give you that perfect nice shot. So it adds that bit of professional to your video shots. Because a lot of people, when they see Phantom 2 Vision footage, as long as it's done right, they think it's done from a professional quadcopter, one of the biggest ones, you know. But not really, it's done from the Phantom. And a lot of the industries use Phantoms, especially in the movie and in the advertising industry. They've used Phantoms for getting their shot they want, because it gives that real nice proper shot. So long as you're shooting in 1080p and you don't want to shoot anything lower than that, then that's why for Phantom Vision 2 Plus has everything on there for you. The gimbal for stabilization on board. You can take up to 64 gig card on it. It doesn't allow any more than the 64 gig card. I mean, I've never gone up, well, I've never stored anything more than 32, well, less than 32 gig. I always seem to do 9 gig or 10 gig of footages, because when I fly up in the air, I take my time what I want to do. I always seem to pick a spot that I want to go for, and then I just get the video shot I want, and you normally takes about 2 gig. So 64 is way over the top for it. And again, it's always good to have a spare card anyway. So if you do end up flying around, because you've got lots of batteries, because that's the only thing, the problem with the Visions, they come with an extra battery, but you really need 4 batteries to get out in a day, so that when you've got one on charge, you still got 3, and then by the time you get to use all your third one up, the other 2 are recharged again, so you can sort of go around again. So, but I always tend to fly. I always find, well, I'm going to fly first. I research the area to make sure it's all clear. There's no cables that are hanging over that can cause issues and stuff. Then I go to it, and then once I've filmed it, then I come home again and then upload my footage. So I don't actually go from one location to the next. I might go to 2, but the batteries I use have been fine. So it does, the battery does restrict you from where to fly. So obviously you won't take too much of your memory card up anyway. Even if you've got 4 batteries, I don't think you're going to use more than 32 gig of storage. So 64 is perfect. My thoughts, that's my thoughts if you're going to go Vision Plus all the way, basically. Because again, if you go for Vision 2 and you're short of money, you still got to save up £1,000 to get the Vision Plus, because there's no trade-in offers you do. So I would think carefully what you want to do. But again, the Phantoms are really easy to fly. As long as you fly safe, take your time, baby steps with it, then you shouldn't have any problems. What I always find, there's been a lot of talk about flyaways and stuff, lots of people have flyaways and issues. This is my second Vision, so I've not had any problems with flyaways. I've lost control of it once, which is to do orientation. I was actually going around in a circle. I then obviously stopped and found, well, halfway through it, I forgot where it was, which direction it was aiming at, so I wasn't quite sure it was facing me or the back end was facing me. So when I actually did move the controls around, I was doing all the opposite, so I ended up in the trees. It wasn't very high up, but the trees, most of the tree branches caught, broken its fall as it came down. So the worst I did was this plastic bit, this end bit here was slightly up, just enough up for the blades to touch here, but you can't straighten it because it's solid plastic. So then I had to buy a new chassis. Chassis cost me about £45. Then I took all the gubbins out of this one, put it into the other one, pulled it back together, and it's great. I always have to build up trust with things I'm flying with, so you get to know how it handles and stuff. Again, I've not had any motor failures until the other week with that, so I'm not quite sure what caused that. But from day dot since I've had it, not had any crashes since then, basically. So I've built some trust up. So my rules are, if you follow them quite well, you know, once you get used to what you're flying, you get used to your routine, and you can put a bit of trust into it. Is always research the location I'm going towards. Make sure there's no aerial features, no big tall trees or buildings in the way, so there's plenty of space. Make sure you give yourself plenty of space to take off from. Good 5 meters square, basically, because obviously when GPS is up, it can be a bit unstable. So when you bring it back down, especially if it returns, well, it's the return home bit, it can actually be 1 meter or 2 meters out, depending on if you've still got your 7 satellites up. So you want to make sure that nothing besides a 5 meter square around it is anything else apart from space, you know. So because it is pretty accurate. So when you first take off, power it up, take your time. So flick on your Vision and your controllers, get the app all sorted out as well, and then wait for all your green lights to go green, which tells you've got 7 satellites. Confirm it with the app. So on the app, make sure the app shows you've got 7 satellites or more, basically. Give it a 3 minutes extra before you fly, or 5 minutes extra. Again, no rushing. power up the motors, let them spin for about 30 seconds, and then get up in the air. So the first thing, raise it up above your chest or your head height, at least in front of you, and then sort of do a bit of test, fly forward, fly back forward towards the sides, you know, just to sort of give it a quick test. That's what I do, get a little bit, make sure it's handling all right, it looks right. If it feels weird or it does something really strange, bring it back down and then just reinvestigate it. But get it at head height anyway. First time flying, especially if you've got the Vision Plus, you don't want to end up causing a crash because the gimbal's expensive to repair. Is get used to flying forward away from you in a straight line, fly backwards in a straight line. Do those ones first a few times, getting used to it. But make sure you're way above head height. So, because obviously with GPS, when you're flying forward, it doesn't necessarily fly straight. It'll probably go up and down a little bit, or it might go down a bit, depending on the area you're flying as well. But take that into consideration. Be above your head. If you do fly forward and you notice it's going down, just push the up button, push it up a little bit so it raises up a bit higher. Okay, because what people would say is if you get in trouble or you're going to be in trouble and you're aiming towards something, go up. Don't go down or try and land it. Just go up, away from the danger. You know, it's much more safe that way. Then once it's in the air, you can then pick up where it is, bring it back and land it. Take your time. Don't panic. If you panic, everything goes out of your head, even down to how you can turn it from home and all that sort of stuff. And when you're panicking, that's when things can end up crashing out of the air. So get used to going forward and backwards. Go left, go right. Don't worry about turning it around. Just literally just bank left, bank right, go forward, backwards. Get used to those bits. And then try going forward and then slightly turning left. Just slightly turning left. So you go forward on the stick, bank it on the left a little bit. So bank it to the left and then stop. Literally let go of the controls, it will stop. As long as it's on GPS and all your switches are at the top, it will lock on. And then straighten it up and then bring it back to you. Okay, so try things like that. Going forward, slight turn, stop it, turn it around, bring it back towards you. Don't try and ever go forward and backwards and correct it, because as soon as that thing turns around and faces towards you and its front end's looking at you, then all your controls will go the opposite way. Your brain starts going to one of these little complete meltdowns and think, oh, left becomes right, right becomes left, and that's how you can start losing orientation. So always, if you're going forward or you're in the middle of a turn and you've got to start thinking, oh, where am I facing now? Just let go of the controls, work out or walk towards it, work out where it's facing, which ends it's facing. Learn your lights, because green or bright red, well, green's, your sticky label will tell you which direction's your arse, which direction's your front. Look, have a see where it is, then you can then correct yourself anyway. So get used to flying low, get used to the controls and stuff like that, and get used to flying on the app as well. So you can still see your Phantom, and you can still see on the app where it is, because you can roughly work out from the app itself which direction you're facing in as well. So if you see yourself, you know it's facing forward. So then you can rotate it around so its bum's facing you, and then bring it backwards. So that's what I always do. I never fly towards myself with it, because you can lose orientation. But I always find if I am flying towards myself, I look at the app, because then you're looking at the front of the craft. And then as you start seeing yourself in the picture, bring yourself up higher, then before you know it, it'll be above your head and you can turn it around. That's a great way of doing it. And that's how I actually get over orientation issues, is when I start flying it away and I'm flying it around. And as I go into, when I do circles, I actually start looking at the app. And then I actually pay attention to the app, and as I'm going to circle, then, because obviously your eyes are now actually in front of the vehicle in your Phantom, and then you can do a complete circle. When you're happy done a complete circle, then you can stop, look where you are, turn it around, and then bring it backwards towards yourself. I never fly towards myself unless it's through the app, because you can lose orientation. Because as soon as you start flying towards yourself, then you look up, everything goes screwy. If your brain starts thinking, oh, I'm going backwards, and then you end up going forwards, and before you know it, it's gone way over you, crashing a tree. So baby steps with it, low flying, baby steps. Make sure there's nobody else around either when you're first taking it out, because if you do actually have a crash, you're not going to crash into somebody else. So make sure you've got clear fields. The other thing, I would practice home return, the return home feature all the time. So fly up, the way I would do it, because the return home, so it goes to return home, the first thing to do is going to fly up to a certain altitude height, because it's programmed into it. I don't know whether it's 50 feet or 80 feet, and then it will come back towards you, where it's taken off from, and then it'll wait a few seconds and then slowly descend down. When it comes back towards you, it comes back pretty fast, so that can confuse you. Trust it, allow it to do its own thing. So as long as you've taken off, you're not suddenly taken off from ground, you actually wait for about couple of minutes on the ground level, it's definitely recorded the home position, then you shouldn't have any problems with flyaways. It'll return back. You can test this. That's what I've done. I've tested every function before I actually decided to go and do my own things. So I'll take up in the air, quite high up in the air, probably about 50 feet, fly it away from you, roughly about 30 feet, and then I turn the controls off, which then puts it into automatic return home. The app will then say, in return home. Watch what it does. If it's flying away from you, turn your controls back on, flick the S1 switch right the way down, and flick it all the way back up again. That takes it out of return home. Then you can manually take over it and then ease it back, fly it back towards yourself. But it should always fly towards you. So if you see it flying away, that's the only time when you'll do it. It's literally bring the controls back on, S1 all the way down, S1 back up again, and it'll take you back into manual override. So I'll practice that. Get up in the air, 50 feet, take it away about 30 feet away from you, turn the controls off, wait for the app to say returning home. Don't worry, it won't drop out of the sky because the GPS keeps it up there. And as it starts returning home, put your controls back on, so it'll power back up again, and it'll start flying back. As soon as you see it flying back towards you, leave it, watch what it does. Flies past. If it goes past you, then obviously manually take over it. So do the S1 switch to the bottom, back up again, and then regain control. But it should come above you. So if it's taken off in front of you, it should come in front of you. It'll wait for a few seconds up in the air, and then it'll slowly then start descending down. Descending down does go slower, and then as soon as allow it to descend down. So long as you've got a flat ground you're taken off from, allow it to descend, allow it to land, so you get to feel how it works, and you get to trust that that actually does work. Do it a few times to make sure it works every single time, and then start testing things like do the same. Take up in the air, fly it, and as it's coming down and it starts hovering down again, manually take over it. So you get the idea of how to take out of return home back into manual mode. So that if it does, I mean, I've flown around a building before and didn't realise the home position records quite low. And I thought, oh, that's going to go through the building because obviously the building is higher than the return home feature. So I manually flicked it back to manual mode, take up higher, then return it back to myself. So you get used to that. So as long as you can get used to the emergency features, how to take it out, return home, then you should be in control all the time. And these are things that the CAA asks you to learn, is how to handle it in manual mode as well as GPS, and how to get out of these sort of procedures. So if you test all that in a field and get used to those sort of functions, even if you're not flying very high, get used to all those stuff first. Then when you do start flying up higher and a bit further out the way, then you'll feel more confident when you're flying. Then you should avoid any flyaways. I mean, I've not had any flyaways with mine at all. Even when I've took up in the air, I've lost signal from the remote control and it's gone and returned home. It's come back to me every single time. It's never flown away. Oh no, I had one time where I think I was in a hurry. I took it straight up in the air, so I didn't record its home position. So it went into, this is what it was on when I was on the Aldine estate. Not long had it. It's lost signal, and it started flying away from me. And I turned the controller off, back on again, and it didn't do nothing. So I was panicking. So then I flicked the S1 switch down, back up again, and the whole thing stopped. Because as soon as you've done that, it goes return, it stops. Then I took over manually and flipped backwards. And that's because I didn't record the home position correctly. So make sure again, before you take off, leave the motor spinning for a little bit while longer. Make sure you've got 7 satellites or more on your app. Or if you've got 6, that's fine. But as long as you don't take off for at least 30 seconds for enough to record home position, then take it up basically. And you can tell whether, you can also test the home position to make sure it has. It's fly up above your head, fly away for a little bit. I know, about 20 feet or so it's not too far. Turn your controller off and see what happens next. If it starts flying away from you, then you know it hasn't picked the return home feature up. Then all you do is switch your controller on, do the S1 switch all the way down the bottom, all the way back up again, and it will stop. Then you can practice. So you can practice all those sort of things. So then you know you definitely got the thing. When you start playing with the NASA software, I've flown it from the box. I've never changed anything on the settings. The only settings I've actually changed is the return home height, because it will go up in the air and then return back instead of like returning back straight away. So I always make sure I look at the tallest building I've flown around, which is a 10-story building. I fly up towards it, I go above it, so I know it's clearing it quite well, and then I look at the how many feet that is. Then I tell the app when it goes and return home, fly up to that height first, then return home. Then that way I'm clearing absolutely everything, trees, no matter where I am. It's something I don't have to worry about, so long as I'm flying quite high enough then it's away from everything, because trees are not more than 150 feet, quite tall, but even flats and stuff, they're not as tall as 150 feet. So, you know, so find out first. Find out the highest point you're going to be flying around, and you're doing regular flying trips. Work out. So if you're flying around a field that has got tall trees in the background, fly up high, fly over them, so you know you're quite high up. So get near the tree yourself, so you can see the tree physically. Fly right up, so you know you're clearing it by using the camera to say you're clearing it. So clear a good 10 feet clearance, or a little bit more. Work out what the height is on your app, and then use that as your return home feature. Change that in the actual assistant software, and then you should be fine. So every time you're out and about, if you do fly over the trees, it's not going to lower itself down. It will go up a little bit higher and fly back and stuff. So, but if you do find that you're flying towards a tree and you think, oh, I'm going to crash it, let go of the controls, because the first thing to do, as long as it's in GPS mode, it's literally going to stop. And wait for your next command, then you can then retrieve it back. If you've flown it forward for some reason, and you think you're going to crash in the tree, you let go and it stops, and you're not sure which direction it's facing in, turn the remote controller off. So long as you record a home position, it'll return back to you. As soon as you see it start flying back towards you, and it's quite far in front of you, turn your controller back on, regain manual control back from it, and then just land it or carry on flying. That's the best way of doing it. Learn those sort of things, get used to where they are on your controller, then you should be fine. You should always be in control of your Phantom. Must stress that, because it's £1,000 worth of equipment in the air. You don't want that actually being breaking. You can replace everything on the Phantom with spare parts. It's cheap enough to buy. The most expensive part on the Phantom is the gimbal itself. So you don't want to crash it, basically, because everything else is replaceable apart from the gimbal itself. So practice that, practice it a lot, and then once you start feeling more confident, you can start doing sort of like, you know, flying around in circles, things like that. You can get used to that. That sort of stuff you can't really teach. It's sort of like, for me, I've never been taught this, and no one's showed me how to fly Phantom. I've literally picked it up and let myself, doing baby steps, taking time out, getting time in. Because again, flying is all about how long you're flying for, your experience and stuff like that. Getting to fly that makes you a better flyer, you know. So, and don't be daft, and play by all the rules as well. Stay away from buildings, because it likely crashes. I want to touch with prop guards, because I've done the flyaways. So the flyaways, I've never had an issue with it, and it's only more down to people being stupid on their Phantoms, flying it too high, flying it too far away from them. If you fly it too far away from them, so you can't see it anymore, you're going to get flyaways, because you're going to work out, you can get orientated and know which direction it's going to go in. But as long as you've recorded home position and it flies out of your widest range, it will return back to you. Okay, so long as you recorded the height position a bit higher, it will return back to you, either it will go off. When battery gets to the point where it gets, I think it's a warning at 20%, it will return home anyway. So again, I've never had any battery, so I've always flown it to the point where my alert comes up on my phone saying battery warning, and I've even flown it to the point where it's gone beyond that and it's gone into return home for me. Always been good, never had an issue with it. Firmware, if you bought a Phantom out the box, I would not firmware it. If it flies great, works great, do it. I only tend to apply firmwares if it's fixing a particular issue or it's a significant upgrade on the actual software itself. So the last one I did, it was it gave you features on the smart battery options, but that would be with the new Phantom now. So the old Phantoms, it give you more details on the battery usage and feedback, and it creates a log as well, so you know when you've got dead cells and stuff like that, and know when to replace a battery or not use a battery. And I also add significant features of like waypoint flying and stuff. I've not done waypoint flying because I haven't built up trust on that. I need to find a clear day, has no wind breeze, and it's a big field, so I can pick up waypoints and then test it, because that is, because it's £1,000 worth of stuff. I don't want to fly. I've seen people fly waypoints to the point they're well out of range, and that once it's up there and it's flying those ranges, you have no control over it. If it flies away from you more than 700 meters or 400 meters away from you, it's going to be out of your actual remote control range, so you can't manually take over it. So if it does get into a bit of a stick on the waypoint flying, you can't manually take over, because it's out of range. As soon as it's in range, then you can. But if it's out there and it's flying, then you're literally down to literally trusting the Phantom's going to do its waypoint flying and come back to you. Because everything happens over there. I mean, I've seen guys do videos where they're doing waypoint flying. They've flown it so far away from themselves, they can't see it anymore. And when they got it back, one guy played the video back and it showed him missing trees by meters or less than meters. miss a big water tower as well. He was really lucky because he didn't obviously survey the area he was flying towards to see which was the highest point, which was the lowest points and stuff. He literally just out of his head pinpoint different height settings within his waypoints, and it flew off. And he was skimming trees. It was missing what. It was risky. He could have crashed that and caused problems, either damage to someone else's property, or it could have caused damage to you know, Joe Public, who might have landed on the head or something like that. So if you do waypoint flying, I know the laws in the UK, they don't like that. They like you to fly line of sight and always see it line of sight as well. But if you do actually want to experiment with that, I would try a small field first, pick smaller waypoints and get used to how it works, and then slowly sort of take it out a bit further and a bit further till you feel confident that you got the waypoints. And always check the area you're flying for, which is the highest point, which is the lowest point, and so forth. Get used to that anyway. But I'll touch more on waypoints a bit later on because that's more advanced thing. But the Phantom is a great product and it's easy to learn. I'm going to show how easy to learn. I'm going to do a video very shortly when the weather's really good and it's calm. I'm going to get my mum out. She's over 70 years old. She's just got over cancer a couple of years back. So she's been, well, quite a few years back now. She's been clear of cancer for a long time, which is really good. And she likes watching me, and she watches all my videos I do, and she loves it all. So I'm going to actually get her to take my Phantom up and fly it around, because we've got a park here that's got quite an open space. So I'm going to do a video on her, and I'm going to teaching her how to fly it. And it's so easy to fly. I won't be actually showing her on the controls. I'll be telling her what to do while I'm behind the camera, so you can see everything she's doing is herself. That's how much confidence I have in the Phantom. They are really easy to fly. But yeah, that'd be fun. So I'll do that in the next video. Right. Prop guards. Prop guards is good if you're flying low and you want to be flying through trees and stuff. So again, make sure no public Joe people are around. So make sure it's clear and tidy. So props are good because they will protect your blades from hitting trees or low stuff and stop it from crashing. But I find prop guards in the air normally, when you're flying up above the trees and flying around and stuff, I always find wind tends to sort of pick up on them. It ends up makes it fly a bit more awkwardly. I put prop guards on mine, which I have prop guards. I can't see where they are. They're not here at the moment. You might see one of my videos with prop guards on it. The wind tends to knock it a bit because obviously it's another thing that sticks right out, but it does cause slight issues. So for low flying round things, prop guards is a good idea, but not in the air or generally having them all the time, because it can cause issues with flying with. So I mean, for me, I would only use my prop guards if I was flying low round stuff, or if I was flying through an old abandoned building, I would use prop guards then. But up in the air doing aerial photography and stuff, I won't have them on. So I've got when you buy the prop guards from DJI, they bolt on. So I would get yourself some. I did a YouTube channel video on the prop guards. I got these little bolt-ons. What they are, they're little plastic molds that slots into your Phantom arm, so you don't have to bolt the prop guards on. So you screw these to these little plastic things, bolt them on basically. You slot them on and they stay on, and they're quite sturdy as well. And you can take them on and off basically. I think they're called Thunderbolts, but again, I'll put details below anyway for those. So that allows you to put prop guards on and off when you want to, because obviously it takes ages screwing them on. And if you don't get the right, you've got to understand, if you don't get the right screws, you've got to have longer screws to put the prop guards on. So it's in theory, it's unscrewing the four motor screws to put your prop guards on and screw them back again. But you have to use the longer screws. Then when you want to take them off, because you can't pack them in your bag because they're too big, is then you've got to put screws back again. But if you've ever put up the longer screws back in there without the prop guards on, you can actually damage the motors. So I would use these bolts on. I'll put a link below for you guys to have a look at anyway. So that's prop guards. What else? I had a few other questions on there. That's my thoughts. So if you're gonna, I suppose, if you're gonna go for this, I'll go for Phantom 2 Vision Plus. That's one of the best ones of the range. I wouldn't buy anything lower than that, unless you wanted to do some modding. I mean, the Phantom Vision 2, which is similar to this one, you can do lots of mods on it. So we've got lots of money to spend on like FPV gear and modding it up and that. I would do it, but I'm going to stick with the stock stuff. So haven't flown this yet, so I'm not sure how this handles and what the difference is on the motors. I know these motors will be a bit more power in them. I've seen lots of videos, people saying that they've got a little bit more power in them, but not a lot. And there's a little bit extra flight time, again, not a lot, but the propulsion system here should be better, more for winds, handling the winds a little bit better. These don't like 10-mile-an-hour winds or more. They tend to sort of, I mean, if you're shooting video, then you also want the less wind speed as possible, because you're going to get a lot of jerkiness and not trying to counteract it, and it doesn't make your video look very good anyway. So I always fly in very low wind speeds. So I'm going to try and take this out tomorrow to get an idea how this actually handles, and we'll give it a go. So, well, that's my thoughts on that. So any more questions you got, email them to me, jack@DJIPhantom.uk. That's jack@DJIPhantom.uk. So jack@DJIPhantom.uk. I'll put a link below anyway on that side, which should come up around here somewhere. Email them to me, and then what I'll do is I'll get enough questions together. Rather than me trying to email in each individually, I'll actually do another video on your comments and stuff. Probably a lot easier as well. And don't forget, guys, if you're getting new Phantoms, treat yourself to one of these. This actually replaces your gimbal bit at the bottom there, so it goes on there instead. And that way it's just one thing to worry about and stuff. You know, it's quite nice, it is. And that's what I'll be using on mine anyway. So until next time, speak to you soon. Have fun flying, and always be safe.